So excited.
Okay, we're going to get started. Welcome to the June 12th meeting of the Board of Supervisors of Montgomery Township. We're going to call the meeting to order and go with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for coming out on this miserable rainy night. Is there any public comment tonight? Okay.
Good evening. Ben Hartranft, 105 Bellows Way, Lansdale, resident of the township. First of all, we just want to say I'm very excited to announce the Blue Envelope program here in Montgomery County. I just want to thank the Police Association and everybody for making this happen. And we're very excited that we're launching this program. We're hoping the next steps is to take it to the bill up to Harrisburg and have the governor pass it across Pennsylvania. That's the ultimate dream. But now I'm very excited that we have a new initiative and we're very excited about it. So thank you for everybody. And I'm just very excited.
Does everybody know what the Blue Envelope is? You want to explain it real quick?
Yeah. And then if you want to throw in. Okay. Yeah, sorry. The Blue Envelope program is a new program that was started in 2020 in Connecticut. And it was then got into New Jersey. So I went to a school, Randolph Middle School in New Jersey, and they told me about this program. And I'm like, I got to get into Montgomery County. So I went to Dave Duffy at Royal Grenade, and I said, we got to make this happen. And I talked with all the chiefs, and they were like, okay, let's make this happen. So I just want to say thank you to all the police chiefs and everybody in District Attorney's Office in Montgomery County for making this happen.
Scott, you want to tell exactly what it is?
Yes, so this,
It's okay.
that's okay. So what we've done is the Chiefs Association has actually printed envelopes. We've distributed them to all the chiefs of police in the county. We have them in all the lobbies of the police departments throughout the county. These envelopes basically will they have an information sheet that individuals can fill out if they have an issue or concern. And then what they can do is present that should they be stopped by a police officer, what basically says that I have a condition, and inside that has information including emergency contacts. So it's a really great idea.
Yeah.
Great idea. So we're really pleased to be involved in the initiative, to say the least.
And I just wanted to thank you, Ben, for bringing this great idea to our attention so that we can provide better services to all of our community regardless of need. So I thank you for that. And we're spreading that word through social media. I know we had a post yesterday and we've shared that I know through your systems as well. And I'm also putting it through the school district, trying to make sure that the word gets out so people can use this and really have a benefit for it. So thank you for all of your efforts too, Ben.
Yeah, thank you. It's a great program. It helps people with autism, and I'm very, very excited. So congratulations, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, with the envelope, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, this is more ways to get
Yeah.
the word out. Yep, oh, yeah. There's nobody.
Yeah.
No, no,
Yeah,
no.
sorry about that, Bill's gonna take it.
Sorry.
Okay. He's gonna be our photographer.
I think Bill Wegman.
Bill. Excellent. You have a future career.
You might be on TV tonight. I'm just kidding.
Chief,
I'm
you
just
guys
kidding.
remember?
It would be funny if you got on TV.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Here, well, Chief, let's get him right in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to just say
Right here?
we're very excited that this is my home township, and I just want to say we're
Absolutely.
excited that we're launching this.
You can do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Thank you.
right. Nice job.
Well done.
Congratulations. Yep. Well done.
Thanks again, Ben, for everything.
Yep.
Announcement of executive session next.
Sure, the board met in executive session this evening at 6:30 to discuss matters of personnel and litigation. These executive session items were in accordance and will fall under the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act.
Thank you. Item number 5 is our consent agenda. I'm going to move to approve the consent agenda as presented for the following: the minutes of the May 22nd, 2023 board meeting, payment of bills for June 12th, 2023, escrow release number 5 for Westrum Montgomeryville at 425 Stump Road, escrow release number 6 and end of maintenance period for the Narayan Guest House, 1630 County Line Road, escrow release number 8 and start of maintenance period for Montgomery Realty Association, 740 Bethlehem Pike.
Second.
Is there any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All righty. Next, we have an update on the Volunteer Medical Service Corp. operations by Carolyn McCreary.
Thank you. Tonight, Chief Shane Wheeler is here to speak to you about where we're at in terms of the current operations, what 2022 has looked like, and the challenges that they face ahead. Chief?
Good evening.
Thanks for coming out.
Do I have to push this, or am I good to go?
Are you green?
I think you're green. If you're green,
Okay,
you're
great.
good.
Thank you. Again, thank you for allotting some time so that I can provide an update on VMSC, your emergency medical service provider. You should have in front of you just a quick little packet to kind of outline some of the things that I'm going to talk about, as well as segments from our annual report that was published a few months ago. So this first page here is specific to Montgomery Township. Right now, Montgomery Township accounts for about 18% of all the responses that we respond to across our VMSC coverage area, which includes 10 municipalities in North Penn and the Indian Valley. So a significant portion of our responses are right here in Montgomery Township. You'll see the top 5 calls, sick person, and generally either 1 or 2. It varies between municipalities, but falls is 1 or 2 throughout all of our coverage areas, which raises a lot of concern for us. Most of these are preventable falls involving the elderly, trips, slips at home, etc. So a challenging situation that we all face throughout the communities. We've seen significant increase in responses from the previous year to this year, up about 24% in those responses. And a lot of that has to do with, one, our availability to provide services. And thank you from all of us at VMSC for your financial support. That goes a long way with being able to ensure that we have ambulance protection and services in our communities. Because of that, we're able to cover the vast majority of the responses that occur. We're working diligently on getting to our calls faster. We're down to about 6 minutes and 55 seconds from the alert to being on scene. It's about 26% of percent improvement from last year of 9 minutes. Interesting, it was 16 minutes 2 years ago to get an ambulance. So big improvements, I think. We have a ridiculous number of employees here lately. We've had tremendous growth and expansion. We've done some outside of the box kind of partnerships that you'll see throughout this. A recent partnership with the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. We put our third ambulance went into service today in Philadelphia to support the pediatric transportation needs of Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Those teams operate outside of our 911 teams, but it's the funds that we generate from that come back in to support our 911 operations that allow us to kind of fill the gaps in maintaining our staffing levels and those kind of things there. So we also have an operation in Monroe County in Tobyhanna Army Depot. We won a federal contract solicitation where we provide emergency medical services for the United States military up there. Again, that created a cash flow opportunity for our organization to kind of, again, provide stopgaps and our funding to ensure that we can maintain this direction that we're trying to go in. Currently, we, with between volunteers and staff, about 170 personnel.
What was the staffing level 2 years ago?
I had 21 full-time people.
You went from 21 to 170. That's
Yes.
phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a growing operation that we have to kind of catch our breath and pause and say, okay, let's slow down on the growth a little bit so we can find out where we're at. It's created some challenges for us, obviously, when you have that kind of growth in such a short period of time. We've had to add additional managers and develop our team with some professional development and trying to be all. I'm super happy to report that we have one of the lowest attrition rates in EMS in the country at 3%. Most EMS systems across the country right now are faced with unbelievable problems with being able to staff their trucks, right? And we don't have that problem. I've literally told a paramedic last week, as soon as we have an opening, I'll get you on, right? So that's kind of the position that we're on with regards to our staffing. It's not that we pay tremendously more than everybody else. It's a fun place to work. We're very transparent. And I think people feel like they belong, right? So very rich in diversity, just a lot of great things happening in our organization. And hoping that we can continue to build upon that going on into the next year and future years to come. So a couple things that I'd like to kind of touch on, and there's a lot of information in here, and I think I gave Carolyn copies of our annual report, and we created a EMS sustainability document as well for not just our communities, but for other communities to kind of use our models and thoughts about how to approach the crisis that is EMS. Because everywhere you turn, nearly daily in the news, there's an EMS agency that's on the verge, if it's not collapsed, it's on the verge of collapsing. Certainly we were at that point. And not because of the same reasons that some of these agencies are, more or less came down to more management and the lack thereof of professional management. I think oftentimes EMS communities and EMS services are left with the last guy standing as being in charge, right? Well, he's been here the longest, or he's a great paramedic, so he'll be a great director, and there's no business sense to it, or no formal educational process or backgrounds to support those. And because of that, I think there is a vicious cycle of we don't run it like a business, we don't understand the business side of this, so we can't develop new business, and we can't make enough money to pay people that we need to get quality. It's just viciously concerned. It eats agencies up. Where we're at, we have some goals and initiatives that we struck out this year with regards to harm mitigation. Our first kind of real approach is to identify where the harm is. What is the harms in our community, whether that's opioid or overdose type related issues, firearm safety. We had a 900% increase in firearm related incidents from last year.
Can you say that again?
900%?
900%.
Oh my
Right,
goodness.
900%. um, environmental safety, and um, how does like the weather impact our responses, right? Elderly folks that may not have adequate air conditioning or adequate heating. The smoke impact just last week, we had significant increases in uptick in respiratory emergencies. So trying to tie in what we do to what people are talking about around the kitchen table, and understanding that we feel as your pre-hospital provider, your community lead for health, that it's more than just dialing 911. That we should have a greater role as far as mitigating these kind of concerns like falls. Um, Unfortunately, a lot of these initiatives are all unfunded that we try to do, right, and quite counterintuitive to our ability to create revenue. Being a fee-for-service model organization, like most EMS agencies, it if we don't transport a patient, we don't get paid, right? And oftentimes we don't get paid then either. About 66% of all the responses that we respond to, we only get paid for. So it leaves a massive gap in regards to our ability to fund our organization. So any initiatives to do reduction programs as far as injury reduction and so forth takes money essentially out of our pockets. So the commitments from like your community, which has pioneered, spearhead, trailblazed, I hope, for other municipalities to support financially the EMS system, is paramount for overall general community health and in our endeavor to reduce mortality and morbidity within our communities. So I want to, again, I can't thank you enough for the steps you have began to take to support your EMS system. We've also struck out, and we're hopeful as soon as the attorneys are done with the agreement with Jefferson Health, but we've worked with them to start the first of, in our area, a hospital readmission reduction plan that would focus primarily on patients suffering from acute respiratory illness and chronic respiratory illness with regards to reducing hospital readmissions. We know that the elderly who experience congestive heart failure, particularly, if they are readmitted within 21 days of that, their chances of successfully leaving the hospital after that second admission is severely diminished, right? That's terminal at that point. So we're working with Jefferson Lansdale on a pilot program for community paramedicine that would work to identify 82 patients this coming year that have congestive heart failure, and allow us to work with the hospitalist, their personal care provider, home health, and monitoring these patients and ensuring that they understand their follow-up instructions, because medical illiteracy is a real problem here in our communities. That they understand what they're supposed to do, that they're taking their medications and being compliant with those, and really following through them for the first 30 days. Because if we can get them through that 30-day mark, get them past that 21 days, that their likelihood of survival and the quality of their life is greatly improved. So that's our first step in reducing and addressing what we feel is a significant concern. This respiratory ailments is a big deal in our communities. We continue to work very hard and hope to be working diligently with our communities on providing a behavioral health crisis response. We're responding to significant numbers of mental health crises across our communities. Post-COVID has been just remarkable to the number of people that are just in need, right, of those services. And there's a gap between us responding to an acute situation where there's an anxiety or behavioral crisis, and then the follow-up behind that, right? Making sure that that person, who went and maybe spent a couple days at a rehabilitation facility, got their medication straightened out, and then returned, there's nothing on the backside that really closes the gap with some of these patients that we refer to as HUGs, high utilization groups, right? The patients we regularly kind of go to that suffer with behavioral crisis and stuff. So we're trying to find ways to fund programs that can take care of that vulnerable population. Obviously, trauma and injury prevention. We've certified, I think there's 8 car seat technicians. We regularly are installing car seats, and we began teaching CPR at all levels, and reaching out to those new parents and making sure that they understand CPR and how to do that. So doing a lot of those kind of things. And we're really close to pushing out a real in-depth community CPR and first aid and stop the bleed campaigns throughout all of the communities that we serve. So working with the county, who has an AED registry and the Pulse Point programs, an app for your phone that would alert trained CPR people in CPR if there is a person in cardiac arrest in their locale else in public. You will get an alert on your phone, and then you could go and help that patient. So there's a lot of different things that we're trying to do to ensure that we're improving, not just responding to emergencies in our communities. Lots of clinical enhancements. We've recently purchased through a grant ultrasound units, and our teams are in training. Point of care ultrasound is a valuable tool that will allow us to diagnose different ailments in the field that will give us a more accurate treatment plan, to making sure we're accurately taking care of that patient, right? So we're super excited about that. We'll be one of a handful of providers services in the Commonwealth with that capability. New medications. We have sedation-assisted intubation, which is a new skill set for our paramedics. We're currently training more paramedics to do that, which allow us to actually give sedatives and be able to take an airway from a patient when otherwise we would not be able to do that, and challenges, a lot of challenges with not being able to do that. So we're super excited about some of the clinical enhancements, nitronox reduction on the use of opiates, in particularly pediatric responses with nitronox. Obviously, fentanyl, super concerning medication, right? Highly addictive. So anytime we can avoid using that, we want to try to do that. So we're utilizing nitronox, basically laughing gas. Incredibly expensive, $2,700 a unit, and no mechanism for reimbursement, right? Same thing with ultrasound, same thing with sedation assisted. The clinical advancements that we really desperately need in our communities to reduce mortality and morbidity come with no mechanism for reimbursement for their uses. Our calls for service, we did 10,999. I joke about tripping some of my team. If I'd have known we were that close to 11,000 before the end of the year, I would have done it. We're rapidly approaching 15,000 calls this year, and a lot of that has to do with our expansion, but a lot of that really has to do with what we're doing right here in our communities by being more available, by having the teams and staff in place to handle that call when it occurs. We focus primarily on a lot of our data collection and on our shift now of trying to understand the next steps for us and how to improve our community overall health and safety. We're focusing in now on data collection with regards to cardiac arrests, heart attacks, strokes, and trauma-related incidents. We feel that these 4 areas represent the most significant concern that we all have when these occur. So understanding who's experiencing these situations will help us understand where we should put our money to focus on as far as treatments, and where they're occurring, and how we can provide better care for better outcomes for these patients. Talk a little bit about revenue and financial support. I think it's interesting that you hear us talk about the various struggles that we have. We've tried to capitalize on every opportunity as a organization that we can, whether it's through these new partnerships and alternative kind of services like what we do for Children's Hospital Philadelphia, what we do with the federal government, with the military, to find additional funding to kind of, we're constantly mining for revenue, right? And where's that location that we can do that to kind of, so we can fund the ultrasound program and so forth. It just does not come from billing. As you see, we have a huge shortfall. Only about 86% of our revenue comes from what we collect from billing. So we have a pretty big shortfall there with regards to that. We've working heavily, continue to work on our subscription programs and donations, whether through capital giving campaigns and the subscription program we just utilize, which is huge. Right now, only about 5% of the total population of North Penn actually participates in our subscription program. So pretty interesting, I think, that only 5% of our population does that. Where we spend our money, 78% is on personnel. You know, I joke that if we were for profit, I would be fired about day 2 into the job. You know, we're not for profit, and we are not for profit. Truly, we keep a pretty thin margin, and everything goes back into doing that. We really believe in investing in the total person within our organization, making sure that they don't just have a living wage, but they have a thriving wage, that they don't have to work 3 and 4 jobs, often the case that EMTs and paramedics have to do just to make ends meet. So we're very proud of that. We have a great working relationship and friendly relationship with our union, as being one of the few union EMS systems in our area. It's been super great to have a open, friendly, transparent relationship with them as well.
Chief, question about HB 479. It passed the House and in the state legislature, and it's going to the Senate now, and it's related to EMS transport reimbursement.
Correct.
And I was wondering, you know, what do you think about that legislation, and how would that help you if it does pass the Senate?
So that's going to help us greatly with regards to the Medicaid patients, right? Particularly. But I think it will help. They've done a lot of things in the last legislative session there with regards to extending some of the COVID programs that were in place. Locally, they've also extended the Medicare rates for Medicaid patients, which was a huge increase for us overall. So I think all these steps, and I'm always apprehensive to comment on active legislation, namely because we get our hopes up and oftentimes it gets killed before it ever goes anywhere. You know how it gets cut in the committee or whatever, and then butchered between, you know, the back and forth between the two sides of the House. But I really do want to applaud the administration. I think that they are starting to recognize that it's not just a 1 or 2 agency kind of problem. This is across the Commonwealth. This is not only what is unique about the Commonwealth. I think a lot of people don't understand. There are more not-for-profit EMS agencies in Pennsylvania than there is anywhere else in the nation, right? Which is unique to itself. So I think we're feeling it first because of that. And there was such a you know, I compare this to what some of the schools systems were going through, you know, in the previous few decades, where every small town had a little school and everything, and then suddenly the regional schools. I think you're going to see a transition to more of that. I think it becomes more difficult for a small community to maintain a small AMS agency. So I think there's a lot of transition for Pennsylvania. Again, I think applaud the legislature for taking some steps.
Well, it was a bipartisan vote. I mean, it passed 203-0. So it
Still has to go to the Senate.
I know, but I think that's a good
Yeah.
sign.
Correct.
So we'll keep
Yeah.
our fingers crossed for you.
And there's an EMS caucus that we've been working with at the federal level. I'd like to see that done at the Commonwealth level too, to get more activism at the legislative level. It shouldn't be because EMS agencies are pounding on the table and saying we can't make our pay, we can't pay our people, we can't do this. You know, I think that we have a responsibility as the EMS system to to look at every revenue opportunity that we can to make ourselves self-sufficient, right? As well as make adjustments within the the rules that we all follow under. And I think it's interesting when I met in DC with legislators there, they had no idea why is someone from that services North Penn at the Capitol trying to tell us it's our problem. Well, it's a problem because they invented it. Most people don't understand where EMS got its original. The Johnson administration, right? That's how EMS was started. It was set to be a federally funded national program for EMS, backfilled through the states, through various funding mechanisms, and insurance really was just secondary on kind of doing that. And during the balanced budgeting that the Reagan administration did, he cut all that out, all federal support gone, right? At that point, kind of left everybody hanging, right? And then through fraud and abuse, which often happens in the early 80s and 90s with a lot of private for-profit entities, tighter restrictions, oversight, making it really hard to justify ambulance payments, really crippled EMS agencies across all levels. So that's how it became a federal program, right? And all of our rates, regardless of who your insurance is, Medicare, Center for Medicare Services are who sets the rules, right, for everybody. So if they say that a reasonable transportation is $300, well, we have to then argue with Independence Blue Cross why we're charging $500 for that. So, and it's been a real challenge, right, to do that. But no, to get back to your question, I'm hopeful. I think any step that we can do to release the burdens, but with one win comes another loss. And the President's Balanced Budget Act right now is a challenge for No Surprise Act. Currently, ambulance providers are not included in the No Surprise Act. If we become a part of the No Surprise Act, which is in the President's budget, then suddenly I can't balance bill for services without working a deal with private insurance carriers. So there are thousands of insurance carriers. So we become hostage to the insurance carriers if that goes through. So we are constantly on guard for legislation to not only help us get through this, but to not take us 3 steps backwards while we're trying to move forward. So the No Surprise Act is a real threat to EMS agencies.
But you said right now you're not included.
Now we're not, but if the President's budget goes through, in the last language I looked, it was still in there. The American Ambulance Association is actively lobbying against that, as well as the Ambulance Association of Pennsylvania. So fingers crossed that we can continue to at least put a hold on the No Surprise Act until other solutions can be found, easier ways to mediate those kind of issues when there's a challenge with regards to balance billing and so forth. Because quite frankly, what insurance carriers pay in most cases, particularly Medicare, Medicaid, do not cut the mustard, right? There's about a $100 gap in what it costs. And there's no consideration with regards to cost of readiness. So there's no, just to keep the ambulance available there, it costs us money and resources. So without any funding to support that, we're kind of at the mercy. To that end, if I'm happy to answer any questions. I know there's a short kind of window, but I just wanted to come out and one again, just to express my great appreciation for the leadership that you all have had as municipal leaders in North Penn to take it to own it.
Thank you. I know that part of your service area includes where Merck is. There's a lot of people that work in this area are for that community. I know that they have a great incentive in trying to increase compliance. So I noticed you're talking about a compliance program, and I'm wondering if you could partner with them in any way. And I'm thinking funding wise.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
Because and not only them, but pharmacy benefit. I mean, everyone. It's a win-win-win-win-win for everyone. And so they may be able to help you. That's what I'm just putting that out there.
Absolutely. We've actually sent letters out to the major businesses within our North Penn community, explaining the various programs from, the community paramedicine program. And we've got some support from some philanthropic individuals that want to jump in and do that. We've employed a couple folks that help us with that are focused on grant writing, philanthropy, and business development. So yes, we are reaching out to various businesses to help us identify ways that they can own a piece of making our community safer and better.
Absolutely. And I think that would be what you're doing is an example that should be rolled out everywhere. So thank you for doing that. I think that's an amazing thing. And getting back to the 900% firearm safety, I can't get past that. Can you tell me what that was compared to, and what it was storage issues, or what?
Well, the percentage is scary, right? The numbers aren't so much, right?
Okay.
We have had increase in firearm, particularly this year. We've had increase. I don't have the particulars for this year at this particular moment based on last year, but basically we run a handful of firearm related incidents in the previous years, and this previous year I think we had 10
Okay.
that were firearm related, and that includes self harm. That includes not necessarily a murder or an attempted anything involving a firearm. It's interesting. North Penn is safer than some of our other communities that we serve. We see higher levels of incidents with regards to firearms in other communities. Certainly not exempt. We do see those. It's on a double shooting not too long ago myself personally in one of our neighboring communities, and as I'm sure Chief Bendig can attest as well, every community faces some form of threat to violence, particularly of gun violence right now. And I think a lot of that has to do, again, tying back to behavioral crisis, right? And not having the resources out there for people to take advantage of. And oftentimes it's not necessarily because there's a lack of resources, it's a lack of knowing how to access the resources. And we think we fit a great model because we're there, we're in the streets, being able to perhaps be a gatekeeper or a way to facilitate access to various services throughout our communities.
Thank you.
Sure.
That helps.
I just want to thank you for everything you're doing, and your mission statement really rings true: loyalty, humanity, and mercy. Like, that's so important right now when everyone is so angry, and
Yeah.
I know that's just so helpful in every situation you go to. So kudos. That's a really nice mission.
Well, we would not be able to do that without the support from our municipalities and the hard work that each of our communities and the citizens that reach into their pockets and help through subscription or through municipal contribution or subsidy. So I appreciate your help with that.
We're happy to support. It's a really great cause. So thank you for the amazing job that you're doing.
It's a team effort.
Yeah.
Sure.
We appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief Wheeler.
Thank you.
I'm going to take 1 second because I see a scout back there. You want to come up and tell us what you might be working on? Why you're sitting here at this meeting that might be boring for you? Oh, good. I didn't see the crutches. I'm sorry.
Hello, my name is Joseph Martin. I'm with Scout Troop 229, and I am here I'm going to complete one of my Eagle Scout merit badges. So I do a 10-day a meeting like this, and I need all the stuff I'm hearing. I think it's pretty cool. And
You want to come up and sit with us?
Yeah, we've got a chair.
We got a chair.
Super happy chair.
We even have a ramp.
We have a ramp.
I remember the scooter. Come on over.
Mhm.
What's your first name again?
Joseph,
Joseph. Okay, great.
Well, we're happy to have you.
thank you.
What's your Eagle Scout project?
Well, I am I'm a first class right now, not Eagle yet, but I am working on one of the Eagle Scout required merit badges.
Okay,
So
excellent. All right, well, we welcome you tonight.
Thank you.
We'll pose for your dad.
Move
in
on,
case you get
you know.
photos.
Ask any questions when we ask for questions, we'll make it official. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is, moving on to public safety. Approval of purchase to replace police in-car camera system. Chief Bendick.
I might add that I'm sitting next to an Eagle Scout, and I'm going to ask another Eagle Scout to come up here and do some
We love our
talking
Eagle
for us,
Scouts.
So there's a lot of them in this room. So
Mhm.
thank you. On November 26th of 2018, the Board of Supervisors approved the purchase of the department's first generation of body-worn cameras for all sworn personnel. These body-worn cameras were purchased along with an integrated in-car camera system mounted in all our patrol vehicles. As the first police department in the North Penn community to deploy this technology, it was instrumental in strengthening our community policing and trust among our law enforcement officers and the Montgomery Township community. Under the department's capital replacement schedule, the body-worn and in-car camera systems were scheduled to be replaced next year. The department has begun to see failures in some of these units, prompting this early request to replace the body-worn and in-car camera systems. This evening, Lieutenant William Peoples is here to present an overview of the new proposed system and features to the board. So I'd ask Lieutenant Peoples to step up and just give you a little overview about what we're looking to do here.
Eagle Scout?
I am. Don't wait too long. I think I got mine a week before the deadline.
My brother's an Eagle Scout.
Okay, what I'd like to do is just talk a little bit about where we're at right now with our body cameras, a little bit of a history, and some of the issues we're having and where we want to be going with the body cameras for the future. So right now we have what's called Motorola. It used to be called WatchGuard. We started that, like the chief said, back in 2018. Since then, we have been having some issues that came up. Some of the things is we'll get a random screen every now and then where the guys will be out on a call, or girls, and the screen goes green for a little while. When we reach out to the customer service, we ask them, how do we fix that? Their answer is just to send the camera back. The problem we have with that is they were purchased in 22 by Motorola. So when I say WatchGuard or Motorola, they're interchangeable. I make the mistake of saying WatchGuard all the time, but it's now Motorola. And since then, we've had some customer service issues. I think at one point we had about 40 days for a camera to come back, which makes it really tough because that's a camera that's not on the street. We had enough extras, beg bar steal from other people, so we've been okay so far. Another issues we have like broken clips, issues with the video offloading, but the biggest problem we got is the fact that it's the end of life. They no longer make the body cameras that we have, and the new cameras that they have is not compatible with our software we have right now. We have a virtual server right now, but the evidence library we have, now they're telling us that the new camera, you can't use that evidence library anymore. So you'd have two different systems. The docking stations that we use to offload the data as well as charge it doesn't fit it as well. And the batteries are also we're having issues with. I will say though, in general, WatchGuard Motorola has been good to us. It has served its purpose. In 2018, they were the top, and they're just starting to fall a little bit right now. When you go over your the quotes that you have in front of you, I want to explain some of the things in there because it's a little bit confusing, but just to give you an idea of what these things mean. So when you're in your body camera one on the second page, you're going to see a TAP technology, or TAP, which stands for Technology Assurance Plan. And this is all what we're proposed for with Axon right now. Right now, they have a 5-year, no question asked warranty, meaning if it's dropped, run over, burned, whatever happens, they will replace it unless they can show malicious intent. The one thing that's really interesting about them is at year 2.5, we have a 5-year contract. At 2.5, they give us all new cameras. Whatever the newest camera is, they replace them with whatever the newest model is. And then they do that also at the end of 5 years. All new cameras, whatever the new model is at the time. The docking stations also have a 5-year warranty. The docking stations, they get tied into the network and they actually offload to the cloud. So they have a 5-year as well. The fleet. When we're talking about the fleet, that's the car cameras. It's not just one car camera. There's a car camera that faces forward with 2 lenses. One's a panoramic, one's a regular. And there's a camera on the prisoner with a microphone. So we can see what the prisoner's doing, but also record what the prisoner is doing. And that is at the end of 5 years, they get replaced. All of those cameras are replaced. They don't have a 2.5, but they do have a 5-year at the end. The next thing down, you're going to see something called SPPM battery. This is a new thing by Axon. The SPPM stands for Signal Performance Power Magazine. In layman's terms, what it is our tasers have a battery on the bottom. And they have software in the tasers now that when you activate the taser, it will Bluetooth turn on every single body camera and car camera that's within a 50-foot radius, which is a beautiful thing. If you don't have time to turn your taser on, or I'm sorry, your camera on, when you turn the taser on, everyone's is going to activate, to include the cars, which is an incredible safety feature for officers. They also have what's called an Axon Signal sidearm. What this is, it's actually a magnet that's a kit that goes to your holster. And what it does, it'll sense when your gun comes out. So anytime you take your gun out of the holster, it's going to activate not only your camera, but again, all the Bluetooth cameras within approximately 50-foot range and the car cameras. This is something that came out by Axon that it's revolutionary. It's incredible. Some other things you may or may not see on there. The one is the Axon Capture app. This is interesting. You can actually have an application that you get for free that can be on your phone or the department's tablets. And you can actually take a picture using this, and it goes right into the evidence library digitally. There's no longer where it downloads onto your phone and you have to offload it. It's a metadata and everything. It goes right to the evidence library. So there's no reason to be downloading things, re-downloading, and transferring stuff all over the place. There's also a community interesting one. You can send a link to someone in the community, whether it's a store for a retail store or someone that's got a Ring door camera, or someone takes a camera on their phone. Instead of us having to take their device and download it, or having to worry about this type of software, that type of software, we can send them a link and they can go on to using the temporary password. They go right onto the Axon evidence library and they can download their video. And that video will be put into Axon's actually software. So there's no more of the transferring of video all over the place. It also comes with what's called an Axon signal unit. This activates the cameras, the body cameras. We have this technology now, but they have it a little bit better. They have a crash one also. So in the car itself, it'll activate with whatever we decide to put on. Right now it's with the lights. So if you put the lights on, your camera automatically goes on. There's also one if you read a search and speed. It'll go on, as well as if it senses a crash. It'll turn on and go back 15 seconds. And the licensing on it, you're going to see professional license and basic licensing. What that is the professional license is for command staff and supervisors, so they can review their officers' video footage to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And the basic license is just the standard users where they can view their own video. Storage, the cloud it comes with is 10 terabyte storage. It's important to note that the car cameras, everything in the car cameras is unlimited video. So it's just the body camera footage is 10 terabyte. So right now we're running just about 10 to 11 terabyte with both of them right now. So when we take it away, we're going to have plenty of room for storage with that. The fleet, you'll see a fleet 3 deployment. What that means is they come out and they're going to upfit all of our cars with their equipment. They'll actually do that for us. So those are all the things that you see on the proposal. Some of the things, Axon is an incredible company. They have a lot of things that are coming out and existing now. Some things that they have that we're not doing, they have a thing called Input Ace that they purchased, which is a software company where it's almost like the stuff that you see where you can depixelize stuff. It's that we have one now called Star Witness that we have, but this is a future one. And it's the same thing where you always have video coming in from all different type of applications, and they have a really neat system that will actually take whatever it is and put it into their own. So you no longer have to download drivers and have compatibility issues. You guys want me to keep going? I know. I could probably talk for a long time.
I can tell you're excited about it, though.
Are you interested?
I mean, I want to be a cop when I grow up. So
All right. All right.
all this stuff.
Okay. So it also has an
You have a card?
auto translation and search. So what this does is it'll actually take all of the words that are being said on it and it'll translate it into either you can print it out as a report, or it'll do it where you can do a search. If you had a situation where you wanted to put the word gun in, anytime someone said the word gun, it'll not only print everything out, but it'll take you to that video. It'll jump to everywhere the word gun was said, or knife, or anything you want. LPR technology. We have LPRs right now in 2 of our cars, and we have fixed LPRs. They have the technology on every single one of their car cameras. They can have LPR technology. The issue
So
is
it's going to be integrated?
it already is. The problem.
LPR.
I'm sorry.
Plate reader.
License plate reader. It'll automatically read a license plate reader and check it against a database for stolen vehicles, wanted persons, mega law offenders, suspended registrations, wanted persons. I think I said that one twice, but it will do all of that. They have the technology right now in their car cameras that will do it. The downside of that is you just can't buy one or two. You have to pay for every single car. So it is an expensive piece of technology. Hopefully that'll go down. They also have an auto RMS tagging, which is they integrate it with RMS or 911 center, that when they would send us a CAD call to our car, it would automatically send that message to the camera and it would categorize it. Right now, we have to categorize our cameras. So if we're out on a burglary or a car stop, whatever it is, we actually have to tag it in the car and it transfers over to the body camera. This system, this RMS integrate system, it'll automatically tag it to itself based on date and time and your officer. They have a drone interface. I know it's kind of new, but what that does is we have county software right now for our new drones, but this is actually another on top of that, where it'll automatically take the video and put it right into our evidence library. When I say putting everything in evidence library, everything goes in there and it's secure. So there's no transfer of evidence along the way. There's no what we call metadata tracing or evidence trail.
And it's automatically going to be tagged and organized so that if you're searching for that content, it just makes accessing it that much easier.
Yes, it would be that. And we have retention bases also. So if you forget to tag your video correctly, like you did a traffic stop and it was actually a DUI, your traffic stop's going to drop off after 60 days, Chief. It's 90 days. It'll drop off. So if you had a burglary or a DUI or something like that and you tagged it wrong, and now it's 120 days you're going to court, that video is now dropped off. Because storage-wise, we have to have retention bases where we're dropping stuff off. Otherwise, we're going to be paying for storage forever. But the classification works pretty good with the tagging of it, date, time, and you put up what the incident is and by officer. So it's pretty easy to find stuff. Questions?
I just have one related, and it's really related to the wording in the BAS because it appears to be a 5-year contract. So it's going to be $75,000 per year for 5 years. So if that's what we're being asked to approve, I just would suggest amending the BAS so that the motion reads that we're approving a 5-year contract. Unless I'm wrong.
The ideology of that was that we would be coming to you each year with a line item expenditure for that dollar figure. So that's why I just did one particular year, and then each year moving forward, it would be a budgetary line item that you would have to approve.
But we
when
wouldn't necessarily be able to back out of the contract next year, would we? It's a 5-year contract, right?
Correct.
So I would think that we would want to amend it so that it just reads.
Very
That's a
good.
5-year contract, $75,000 a year for 5 years.
Understood.
Any question?
Okay.
Joseph, any questions?
No, not at the moment.
Like drones. Yeah. So numbers wise, how many fleet and how many body cams?
We would get 14 fleet. We have 13 cars, but we'd get one spare, so we'd be able to keep the car up and running. And then it would be 39 or 40 body cameras because we'd have one extra.
All right. Any other questions then?
I'll just so you have two quotes in front of you. One's from May 26th for Axon for the lease purchase of the in-car camera systems, which will be $29,342.95 per year. And then you have a second quote from the same company for the body worn camera systems. That will be $45,808.06 per year. The total funding that we'd be requesting for this year and then every year moving forward would be $75,161.03. When we initially budgeted and purchased these items in 2018, I had allotted $154,000 to basically buy all new systems, but post some of the things that have occurred in our society, in our country, has driven the price of these units up exponentially. So that's what we're seeing as far as the pricing points for these units. So understanding your concerns, but we are looking for the board to allow us to move forward with the approval on these items. There is a timeline where there's a delay due to technology issues still and supplies. So the sooner we can place this, then hopefully we will get this equipment. We're hoping by the fourth quarter of this year, maybe. So it is imperative that we do this year. But I wish I could have budgeted more appropriately, but unfortunately, that was the number that I was looking at.
So, and the quotes, the body cameras start 2023, the fleet 2024.
That would be the look. We're trying to do this as soon as we can, and we're going to have internal conversations as far as when we want to. We're going to have a delay where we're going to have one in-car system and a body camera system, but again, we're going to try and keep them as seamless and as close as possible. So it makes it's less on the officers.
Right. I'm fine with the 75,000 a year. Is everyone good with that?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna coddle through this thing. I'm gonna move to award the contract for the lease purchase of the in-car and body-worn camera systems from Axon Enterprise, Inc. at a cost of $75,161 per year for 5 years. Does that sound good?
For their quote.
Per their quote attached.
Second.
Okay, any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lieutenant.
Number 8 is approval to execute grant agreement and purchase of Foreign Scope smart tablet and fixed license plate reader.
Okay.
Chief
Thank
again.
you. On September 1st of last year, the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency announced the availability of funding under the local law enforcement support grant program established within the PCCD as part of Act 54. The primary purpose of this grant program was to provide funding to local law enforcement agencies to implement information technology improvements, purchase or upgrade equipment, cover non-traditional law enforcement personnel costs, support retention, recruitment efforts, and provide necessary training and cover related expenses. Our department applied for over $700,000 in grants. On March 22nd of this year, the department was informed that we were awarded $77,000 in grant funding for a Forensiscope smart tablet and a fixed license plate reader. The Forensiscope tablet is a multiple spectral imaging unit used to assist in locating blood and bodily fluids at a crime scene or on physical evidence that has been collected. The fixed license plate reader, as you know, converts data from an electronic image of the vehicle license plate into a readable format and then compares it against databases of license plates, allowing for investigators to analyze the data for more complex and open investigations of serious crimes. Attached is a quote dated April 25th, 2023 from Plate Logic, an authorized vendor under the CoStar's program to provide a license plate reader and installation at a cost of $36,815. That will be placed at the intersection of County Line Road and Route 202 Parkway. Second, a quote is attached dated April 11th from Evident Incorporated, a sole source vendor of the multispectral imaging system to provide the purchase of a body of the system at a total cost of $32,750. Funding for all grant equipment is covered under the local law enforcement support grant, and it is recommended the board authorize the chair to execute the grant agreement for the funds and authorize the purchase of the requested equipment.
Anybody have any questions?
I see the quotes actually have expiration dates that occurred in April of this year. Have we confirmed they're gonna be okay with those numbers?
I did make sure. I know that's always something we look at, so I made sure that was a good thing. So we are good with those quotations.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
What do you think, Joseph?
I like it.
Would you want to read the motion if I bring this over to you?
Is it this one right here?
You good to read that?
Yeah.
Out loud into your microphone.
You go. Motion to authorize the chair to execute the grant agreements under the local law enforcement. So, did I say the
LLE. Yeah.
LLE support grant program and award the contract for purchasing a foreign scope smart tablet and fixed license plate reader at a total cost of $69,565 for the attached quote.
So moved.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Good job. That's all official, right?
Yes, that's fine.
Well, I made the
Wanna
motion,
make
so
sure.
that's why I was
Correct.
like, you know,
Yeah,
he can read it as
so
long as one of us moved.
Yep.
Made them, yeah.
All right. Item number 9, replacement generator for Battalion 2 Firehouse. Chief Wegman,
Thank you.
Eagle Scout.
Eagle Scout. Yep. No. Long time ago. No gray hair. The department is in need of a new generator at the Battalion 2 Firehouse. The existing generator has reached the end of its life cycle. The bottom of the generator is rusting out and components are starting to fail within the generator, and we would like for it to be replaced. The generator provides for all the essential functions of the building in the event of a power failure or a power disruption, including opening the garage doors so the fire trucks can respond to calls. The department reached out to West Generator Services of Colpsville. West Generator Services currently provides for the service of the generators at both battalions, and I think for the rest of the generators in the township, and is a CoStars vendor. Yeah, they're CoStars. West provided the township with a quote of $26,170 for the purchase and installation of a new generator at Battalion 2. There's $30,000 in the 2023 capital investment plan for the replacement of the generator. The cost of the installation of the new generator at Battalion 2 is quoted at $26,170. The quote was again provided by West Generator Services, who is approved CoStars vendor. It is a recommendation of staff that the board approves the purchase of a new generator for the Battalion 2 Firehouse to replace our existing generator. The generator will be purchased and installed by West Generator at a cost of $26,170. Thank you.
Well, it sounds like we need it. We have to be able to open the doors.
That'd be nice.
Any questions? Joseph, should we get it? Okay. I'm going to move to approve the purchase of a new generator for the Battalion 2 Firehouse to replace the existing generator. The new generator will be purchased and installed by West Generator Service at a cost of $26,170.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Number 10. Appointment of a new building code official. Very exciting for Mary Ann McConnell. Carolyn McCreary.
Thank you. With the retirement of Bruce Shoup, the township is now in a position where we have to appoint a new building code official. And I am pleased to let you know that Marianne McConnell has obtained her building code official certification from the Department of Labor and Industry. So we are now in a position to appoint her as our designated BCO for Montgomery Township effective June 13th, 2023.
Way to go. Way to go. Thanks for all the hard work in obtaining that. Anybody have any questions? All right. I'm going to move to appoint Mary Ann McConnell as the designated building code official for Montgomery Township effective June 13th, 2023.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
One more, congratulations.
Are you aware of how many women hold this distinction or this, certification in the state of Pennsylvania? I have no idea. I would have to
We should find out.
imagine
It can't be that
that
many.
it's not very many. And I'm just curious. That's your homework assignment now.
That's my homework.
Yeah. Research that.
On
let
top
us
of
know.
everything else she's got to do.
Add it to your long list.
Tomorrow.
Well, it's not a high priority. Yeah, I'd be really curious to know, but congratulations.
All right. Number 11, adoption of Montgomery County 2022 Hazard Mitigation Plan. Carolyn McCreary.
Thank you. Last week, we received word from the County Planning Commission that FEMA has finally approved the county's hazard mitigation plan. So we are now in a position where we need to adopt it. Adopting of this plan will allow us to become eligible for FEMA funding to implement projects included in the plan, and also, and more importantly, to receive disaster mitigation funding if a federal disaster declaration is made or one by the Commonwealth. So tonight, I'm asking the board to adopt the county's hazard mitigation plan for 2022.
Okay, sounds like we need to do it. Okay. I'm going to move to adopt resolution number 2023-10, adopting the Montgomery County 2022 Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
There we go. Let's hope we won't need it. Item number 12, advertise for bids for leaf and yard waste collection and disposal. Carolyn McCreary.
Thank you. As part of our requirements under Department of Environmental Protection's 904 Recycling Performance Grant Program, we have to provide a separate collection of leaf and yard waste, which consists of leaves, shrubbery, tree trimmings, and other similar materials with disposal at a composting facility. The regulations require that the township provide for a curbside pickup of bag, leaf, and yard waste at least twice a year in the spring and fall, and provide for a drop-off and disposal of leaf and yard waste at least once a month. Tonight, we are asking the board for approval to advertise for bids for the residential leaf and yard waste collection and disposal.
Sounds easy enough. Anybody have any questions? I'm glad you're saying you're answering over there. You're being a good board member tonight. I'm going to move to authorize the advertisement for bids for residential leaf and yard waste collection and disposal to provide for a twice per year curbside pickup of bagged leaf and yard waste in the spring and fall, and for a drop off and disposal of leaf and yard waste once every month. Is there a second?
Second?
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then the last thing we have is authorization for the sale of municipal equipment by online auction. Ryan Shapiro.
Yes, good evening. Thank you. The township by resolution is authorized to dispose of surplus assets through Municipid, an online auction company. Municipid assesses fees to the buyer only. The buyer fees are aggregate. There are no charges or fees assessed to the seller. The administration of the bid will be handled by township staff. The auction will start on Wednesday, June 14th, 2023, and on Wednesday, June 21st, 2023. The auction must meet the advertisements required outlined in the section second class Township Municipal Code. There are two items that were previously advertised that did not get any bids or met the reserve from our prior sale earlier this year. So we're re-advertising them. We're relisting them for your authorization to post them back there with a lower reserve amount, or we just want to get them off our property and get some value for it. So it's a 2014 Dodge Charger Pursuit and a 2016 Ford Police Interceptor utility. Staff estimates the surplus sale will be worth around $5,000. So we're looking for a board to approve listing those items again on Municipid.
So no one wants those fabulous items? We're practically giving them away.
No one bid on them or met our reserve at the last auction. I don't know if they want them or not.
It's a
There's someone
shocker.
out there.
Shocker.
What does eBay say? Like there's something for someone out there.
All righty. Joseph, you think we should get rid of these things?
I'll take
Charger,
'em.
Dodge Charger, and a police interceptor utility
They
vehicle?
both police vehicles?
I'm sorry, we can't just give them to you, but we're gonna have to sell them. They'll be on an online auction somewhere. You could look for them.
Dad,
Father's Day is coming
come on,
up.
Ed.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
There is someone who wants it.
See? Might be $100
Telling
bucks.
you.
We don't know.
Looking better and better as a recruit all the time.
All right, well, I'm going to move to authorize the sale of the above listed equipment through the online auction company Municipid.
I'll second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Anything,
Yeah, I just had a question for our Director of Public Works, Greg Reif, about some work that's being done on Upper State Road. I thought maybe for the benefit of anybody who's watching at home, we could talk a little bit about that work that's taking place on Upper State Road and what's going in there.
Sure. The work that's going on out there right now is for the rapid flashing beacons for the pedestrian crossing. The work in the center of the road is for the refuge island. That was part of the PennDOT plan that was approved.
And that's going to help pedestrian access to Spring Valley Park.
Correct. From the developments across the street, it's going to give the pedestrians a better way to cross the street there where there wasn't anything previously.
Wonderful. And the same work is happening also on Keenest right now?
Yes, right across from Davis Lane, which that's also under construction. They're working on the crossing there. They're also going to have a refuge island on that one as well. And right now they're working on the handicapped accessible ramp that goes up onto the main walking trail there.
And when do we expect those projects to be completed?
That's a very good question. Right now, they're doing it basically in two parts. So the contractors coming in, they're doing their aspect of it as far as the pedestrian crossings with the ramp and the actual walkways. And then Armor and Son will be coming in and they'll be doing the installation of the actual mast arms along with the pedestrian crossing signals.
Any estimate on when that will occur?
The last we heard, I think they were 6 weeks, at least 6 weeks out on after they ordered the equipment. But that's up in the air. So I really don't have a good estimate to
It'll
give
be a
you.
surprise.
Yeah. I know they're going to be on it as soon as it comes in. I know.
For the end of the year.
Hopefully, yes. Hopefully, yes. That would be great. That's what we're anticipating. Yes.
All right. Okay. In other news, we heard that Shake Shack is going to be opening July 6th.
That's true.
Is this from a reliable source? Because I'm looking at my source.
It was on.
I know Mary Ann told us last meeting that it was going to be end of June.
I haven't heard an actual date yet, but we do anticipate in the next few weeks.
It was on the website apparently.
It was on their website.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
Must be
everybody's
true.
eagerly anticipating that. And then one last question I had for our police and public safety, fire safety is anything related to, and maybe public works too, as it relates to our traffic adaptive system. The closing of I-95. Today, I had to go to a doctor's appointment over in Huntington Valley, and traffic was snarled. And they talked about the ripple effect that would have because all of the traffic has been diverted to all these other arteries. Do we anticipate that that's going to have any impact on our commuting times here in Montgomery Township?
I'll let Director Reef speak to the technology piece. But as far as the movement, the north-south movement, I don't think that's going to have really any adverse effect within our community, but I don't know.
I really don't anticipate any. I think we're far enough out of that zone. I would anticipate probably a little bit more maybe on the turnpike, just people trying to navigate their way through some of that. But I don't foresee too much of an issue with that.
Okay. I was just curious to know whether or not there would be, if the ripple would come this far.
I had to go to Wayne this morning. It usually takes me a half hour. I allowed an hour because I go on the turnpike and the blue route. There was no extra traffic.
There was no extra traffic. It took me 20 minutes longer than normal to get to my doctor's appointment. And I was just wondering if it was anything related to that or if it was just coincidental.
I think because it's so close to the event itself that they're still working out like the detours and looking for traffic patterns, because it's just like up here. If a road's closed, people who know the area know which alternate routes they're going to use. They're not waiting for the official detour. And I think that's what's going to happen down there. You know, once they get an idea of the breadth of how much traffic is actually diverting onto roads, then they're going to move things. But to Greg's point, I think the turnpike would probably be, if anything's going to be impacted, it'd be the turnpike.
Okay, just curious. That was it. That's all I had.
Joseph, do you have any questions for your supervisors? Anything we can do for you?
No, no, I mean, everything's good. Summer's about to start.
All right.
What
are you doing for the summer?
I'm probably I have a camper in Jersey, so I'll probably be down there most of the time. Yeah.
Nice. Sounds great. Great. Well, thanks for joining us tonight.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for coming out.
Let us know if you need anything else.
Everything. Have a good summer.
Thank you. You guys too.
If there's nothing else, I will move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Everybody have a great night.
All right.